Welcome to The Road to Zero, a future-proof podcast as we explore the changing nature of our economy as we look for prosperity and opportunity in not only preserving but also improving our environment. Hello, I'm Nick LeBlanc and welcome to The Road to Zero. Now today I want to share with you a new series that we'll be releasing this week called the Carbon Market. And just want to create the world of what do I mean by the carbon market. So we know what the market is, but right now there's this massive change happening around something called carbon. So the whole way the market operates and some of the rules are drastically changing. So, and out of that, there's a whole new opportunities that are coming up commercially, and as well as a lot of risks because we're doing how we used to do things shifted a little bit, and there's going to be some new costs. And it's amazing how this small little element also has a cost associated to it. So it's going to cost something to emit it. And actually has some value if you can capture it. So we have a lot of companies that are looking to actually make stuff out of carbon. And you can actually make a lot of things out of carbon. And it's amazing the properties it has. There's a couple of companies actually making diamonds out of captured carbon. We have companies making cement stronger. And and there's a lot going on right now where people are trying to figure out what you can do with carbon. How can you replace stuff we already have? We're talking about making carbon fibers and graphene, so some really and cheaper ways of doing it. So it'll potentially change a lot of markets and open up markets that weren't there. So there's a host of all sorts of opportunities out there. And in this series, we'll be talking to some of the people out there in the market and just to see how they've managed to shift their operations or even a new business model they created out of doing something with carbon. And the another piece we talked about a little bit about the risks because it's really impacting how we've done business day to day because now there's a new cost that wasn't there before. I know in Canada we'll have a cost of about $170 per ton of emitted carbon within the next decade. So that's putting a cost, and really businesses need to stop and really look at, okay, what does that mean for my business? What's going to look like in 10 years? And really now is the time at the start of the decade to really start looking at our operations and see, okay, what's the impact? What are my options? And how can I benefit or make an opportunity out of this? And there's a lot of companies that have. And the other piece of the risk as well is not just from a cost perspective, but the market itself is looking for low carbon solutions. Consumers want to be able to purchase something that doesn't have a lot of carbon. Companies are looking for partners or supply chains that can deliver them those low carbon products. So all of a sudden, if you're not catering to the market, your market's going to shift. And someone that does come along that can take advantage and offer a low carbon product can actually take a serious chunk of existing market share. So it's a really exciting time right now. And really what we're doing in this series is really looking in that world of that. So we're talking to some amazing guests. This week we'll be talking to Gerard Campo of UR1, and they've got some new technology that can actually take carbon out of a smokestack and actually turn it into a physical product. We'll be talking to Jennifer Wagner of Carbon Cure. So they have a company that can actually take captured carbon and inject it into cement and making it stronger, lowering the actual cost and not necessarily, well, lowering the cost and the carbon intensity of the product as well. We'll also be talking to Sida Mahajan from Manova Energy and a brokerage firm that actually looks at companies to reduce their emissions as well as how to offset. And there's a whole market in itself, the offsetting piece on, if you can actually create products or find ways to capture carbon, you can actually sell those credits to other companies that can't. So you can actually make quite a bit of money if you can find ways to capture and sequester that carbon. So it's really exciting times with all these new opportunities. And another piece of the risk is the financial piece, because now we have a financial market that's really evaluating what's the impact of all these rules and how do we get to that lower carbon economy. So a lot of these portfolio managers are actually looking for those investment opportunities that will deliver that won't have a downside risk. Because honestly, if a company's not doing anything to change their carbon emissions over the next couple of years, their costs will increase to a certain degree. Well, they might be uncompetitive. So if you're a long-term investor, you don't want to have your money into a stranded asset, something that's not going to be worth much because no one will be using fossil fuels anymore. So it's a really big concern in the market. And there's also potential opportunities for some of these new technologies can be quite breakthrough and can capture whole markets. So there's never been such an investment opportunity before. So it's really exciting times. And so I really invite you to join me as we look at carbon from a whole other perspective and really start to look at how does this new economy look as it's really figuring its way around how to manage and deal with carbon and find all those different opportunities. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to you joining the conversation.
To hear more about our podcasts, showcase events, or the Futureproof Network, please visit us at www.futureproof-network.com.